Hello, everybody. How are you guys? Another sunny day here in Southern California, and it gives us a chance to do another video on Denver. Of course, we've been focused on Denver all week. This time, in this video, we're just going to talk a little bit about the geography of the area. Very fascinating, because you have lowlands and you have mountains. Mountains. And that's how scientists have split the topography, the geography of the Denver area, and that is the flatlanders and the jagged edgers. Flatlanders, the city of Denver is on what the scientists and locals call the flatland. And that is obviously the area right before it rises into the foothills and then into the high Rocky Mountains, which are all very close to the city, much closer than people think, I believe. And because of that, there is a distinct difference between the people that live on each side, at each edge, each section. So because the city proper is on the flatlanders, they tend to be more practical, tend to be more modern, probably more moderate in their politics, and also not quite as tough, not quite as hardy, lacking in grit. These are people that need creature comforts, and they will work 80-hour weeks just to have a flat screen TV type of person. Now, the jagged edgers, or the mountain folk, they are not as modern, not as tolerant, but with much more grit, probably politics a little bit more backwards looking, because people think, well, conservatives and non-progressives, they look back to the 50s. Jagged edgers look back to the 1880s is what I'm talking about. Even before that, the 1840s. They want to go back to when the mountains were wild and free, and all you needed was a Bowie knife and a muskrat hat and some snowshoes that you made out of sinews that you wrapped yourself, and some old Coho hockey sticks that you stole off of one of the Denver players, okay? So there's the distinction between the two. Now, you say, well, every city has different types of people, and that's true, but these are such a historically diverse group in that the flatlanders, well, you settle a city, what you're saying is, which is what happened when John Denver's great-grandfather settled Denver and named it after himself. You're saying that you're ready to retire. You are done with exploring, done with riding a wagon train across the country or whatever, crazy stuff people were doing to get out of political persecution in the old world. You're saying, I'm done. I'm ready to settle down. My wild days are over. The late bar nights, the meeting people with foggy eyes because you had one too many shots of Jägermeister. Those days are all gone. Okay, and that's how cities get born. Whereas the jagged edgers, once they found the Rocky Mountain, they kept going, right? They kept going past Denver. They're like, we're not done. Look at right there. You can see the mountains right there. They're like, well, how can you stop right here on this flatland part? There's the mountains right there. That's the Holy Grail. It's God gave these mountains to us to live in them, not to sit next to them. So that's how the jagged edgers ended up in the hales and the hollows and the swales and the swallows up there in the mountains, and have decided that they didn't want any time to go by ever since. So sometimes you get back up there in them ridges, guys, and you meet some people that look like they just stepped out of an 1845 tintype photo. And they really, in a lot of ways, did, because they haven't changed since those days. They really haven't. So that means they know how to skin a beaver, okay? If they have to, they'll take out one of their loose teeth and do it with their tooth, okay? They'll skin the beaver pelt with a loose tooth. This kind of person. Now, when they get down into it, it's not that they don't intermingle. Like the jagged edgers will sometimes come down into the flatlands because they just want to laugh at the people. And sometimes they have found that it's a good place to do to dance a jig. Now you can dance a jig up in the jagged edges, up in the ridges in the mountains. But the problem is if you miss the jig, right? Let's say you're clod hopping and clogging and jigging, right, on the dance floor. You're dancing your jig, and you miss a step. Well, the mountains are so steep back up in the upper reaches, guys, that people have missed a jig and then fallen 4,000 or 5,000 feet to their death. So down in the flatland, you can dance a jig, you can clod hop, you can go clogging with a lot less risk to your person and your family. So they'll go to the dance floors around Denver, around the Denver area, as far away as Boulder, to be able to dance a jig. That's when you're sitting. Now, if you're a flatlander, you're probably going out. Maybe you're going to the club, right? You're hearing the latest hits, all of the mix of what would be called dance music, along with EDM. Just all of those, anything by Sia will be on. They'll play it on the dance floor. anything that has a dance mix of a Coldplay song. That's what you're going out for. And then you're surprised. You look up and you look over, and there's somebody that's wearing a muskrat hat. They've got on a beaver pelt jacket. They've got these boots on that lace up to their knees, and they're dancing a jig like they're trying to set the dance floor on fire with matches they have in the bottom of their mucklucks. And that's just a jagged edger down on the flatlands enjoying the modern world before they hightail it back to the safety and comfort of their 1840s, 1850s existence. And vice versa, the jagged edgers are sometimes sitting on the front porch of the cabin up there, and then all of a sudden some flatlanders will come meandering by with neon yellow snowsuits, tens of thousands of dollars of mountain climbing and mountain equipment that they got, outdoor equipment that they got at REI, that they could have gotten at Walmart for 10% of the price. And they're supporting each other with motivational sayings and passages from the Bible, and the jagged edger sitting there on the porch of the cabin smoking his corncob pipe, looking at these fools like, what the heck is going on? I was sitting up here enjoying my peace and quiet, and here come these yuppies and these millennials with their lime yellow safety visibility snowsuits, their $10,000 snowshoes that I could have made in an afternoon with some sinew and old hockey sticks and some beaver pelt droppings, and they're interrupting my peace and quiet. Okay, so they do intermingle the two sides, but really the major growth is happening on the flatlands, and the reason being, that's, a city that grows as fast as Denver does, it has to live in the modern world. You just have to. And they also have the room for expansion to handle all these knuckleheads coming in from California, Canada, and every which way, thinking that Denver is the new gold rush, right? And then on the other hand, though, you need the jagged edgers because they know their way around the mountains, and the mountains are why the Canadians are coming, why the Californians are leaving San Francisco's $4,000 a square foot rental rates, okay? They come for the job. They got to have a job, but they only want a job so that on the weekends they can go up into the jagged edges. So they can go skiing, snowshoeing, they can hang out at Sundance and pretend they know somebody. So you have the head, which would be the job, and you have the heart, which is the mountains. And so you need both the flatlanders and the jagged edgers to make the whole economy work and to make Denver the great city that it is. Guys, I hope that helps. That's a little bit about the geography and the area. If you have any questions, leave a comment, Or if you have any further clarification on what I'm saying, if you know better, I'm not from there, I'm just going by the research I've done, leave a comment. Tell us. Share your knowledge. When you share your information on YouTuber or the Tweeter machine, then the whole community grows together. Thanks.